Hello, Cornerstone. This week we are in Mark 15, 1 through 47, the death and crucifixion of Jesus. This week, Jared Bartholomew is going to be preaching at Cornerstone. Jared is a new hire at Cornerstone. He'll be working with small groups and doing counseling. As I'm sure you're aware, we are in the climax of Mark. And as we are in the second last chapter, we will see the death of Jesus, his crucifixion. And as we saw Troy preach this week, we just finished with all those that are closest to Jesus denied him and betrayed him. And in this passage, we are in the Good Friday, in Black Friday, the last day of Jesus' life before his crucifixion. And so I thought it'd be interesting for us to look a little bit at the characters that are in this story. I think Jared will do the same thing. And really we see Jesus brought before Pilate. Then we see Jesus scourged by the soldiers. And then he carries his cross. His cross is carried for him. And then, of course, he is crucified. And as we start out, we see Jesus before Pilate. And as the passage really makes clear, Pilate really doesn't want to get involved with this case at all. He really doesn't want to meddle in these religious affairs. And we really see him wavering and trying to get out of sentencing Jesus. And he really wants to avoid what's seen as a religious issue and not a criminal manner. And so he does all these ploys trying to free Jesus. And finally, we see that the Jewish people demand the release of Barabbas and the crucifixion of Jesus, which is really ironic. Barabbas in Hebrew means sons of the Father. He's an insurgent, a violent criminal who really attacked the temple, tried to instigate a rebellion. And of course, that's really what they're accusing Jesus of. But they release Barabbas, who is a dangerous criminal, and particularly in terms of their view, in terms of a religious rebellion person. And they then crucified Jesus, who we know, of course, is the true Son of God. As Jesus is then carrying his cross, we see him, as we look further on the characters, we see him not being able to, and they recruit Simon of Cyrene to carry Jesus' cross. Of course, we saw earlier in Mark where Jesus says, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Of course, Simon is the first one that literally carried Jesus' cross. So I just found that really interesting. And then we see Jesus up on the cross, and he quotes, my God, why have you forsaken me? And might be an interesting place for your connection group to go. Jesus is likely quoting Psalm 22 there, in a psalm that really speaks of a person that's so abandoned by God in his hour of need. And, really it's a prophetic psalm that looks forward to Jesus. And I think what's interesting, you may ask your group those words on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? Try to enter into how Jesus felt at that moment. And really, I think as you see Psalm 22, how it ends up really in such a positive way where everybody is worshiping God, might be an interesting place for your connection group to go. And so as you finish this passage, just a couple of questions that you may want to talk to your connection group about. And I really think as Christians it's important for us to think about what the cross means to us on a day-by-day basis. the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus for a Christian must be the central part of our lives. And so really the question of does Jesus' death have an impact on your daily life? I think it's a great question for us to meditate on a little bit. If the death help people understand the significance of the death of Jesus, what it does in our lives and how it affects our daily lives, how it impacts how we interact with others, how we view ourselves, and how we view Jesus, I think is really critical of importance. And also, another question you may talk to our group. As Christians, we say with great regularity, Jesus died for me. And I really think that question can have a couple different emphases. If we think that the for me part is the most important part of that statement, we're probably missing it. The fact that Jesus died is so much more important than that he died for me. And help our people understand that Jesus' death is the most important part, that I'm simply the recipient of that great grace. And so, if we can grow our average Connection Group's member of what they think about God this week, I think you'll be successful. So, thanks.